My name is Nathan Ryerson. You can call me Nate. I'm a third-year EE. I've been in music my entire life, been playing guitar for 8 years now, and been doing guitar pedal stuff since I was a freshman here at Georgia Tech. Basically, my work the past few months has surrounded the Spin FV-1 chip. It's a really popular DSP chip right now in the market. Think Chase Bliss, Earthquaker Devices, a whole bunch of other companies that are now moved on to like much more complex DSP architectures. Started with the FV-1. Did a little bit of research, found out that this program exists. This is called SpinCAD Designer. Basically what happened is the assembly language for the chip is rather complex and a little convoluted. So whoever made this program basically built an object orientation to the language and abstracted it to this designer here, which basically functions as like a drag and drop block programmer that you can use to create patches for the chip that then you can download as the assembly files and flash to the flash memory on your device. So I'm in a couple patches, just kind of getting started. There's a whole world of possibilities in here. You have a ton of math functions, and there's also some pre-made blocks that I've kind of just started working with. This is kind of a gated envelope-controlled reverb. I'll go ahead and start the simulation here.
Okay, so you don't have this on actual hardware?
Nope, but this could be downloaded to a dev board and work just the same.
Oh, okay.
Basically, you have controls here for, you only get 3 different potentiometers for the actual chip. It only receives like 3 pot inputs.
Where are your pot inputs?
Pot 1, pot 2, and pot 0. I just ordered them slightly differently.
To change a pot, where do you have a slider for your pot?
So the pot sliders are up here. This is pot 0, pot 1, and pot 2 across the screen on the top here.
Oh, okay, so your sliders are your virtual pots for
basically.
your testing.
They function pretty much, I want to say, linear from 0 to 1 on the values. And then the way you route input and output signals is you drag in this input block, which has 2 input signals, and then the output, which also has 2 output inputs.
Oh, because it's stereo.
It's stereo, yes.
Right, okay.
Currently, I have the output set to mono, which you can do by right-clicking on it, and there's a menu to set it as mono. But the signal chain here basically is we've got the input routed into just a pretty simple overdrive block here, with the drive controlled by pot 2. Everything is basically interconnected by these drag and drop lines. So
that's really cool.
Boom, just like that. And then that runs into a reverb where pot 1 controls the reverb time. And then I also have pot 2 controlling both the overdrive and the filter on the reverb. The reverb outputs stereo, but since this is a mono design, I'm running a 2-to-1 mixer where it takes both the output signals from the reverb and combines them into one. That goes into this volume block here, which functions basically just as like a normal volume control for your signal. But I have the input signal routed to a envelope, which the envelope control in this program is pretty finicky. It doesn't work that well, and I haven't really found out the right potentiometer value range to control the sensitivity. But pot 0 controls the sensitivity of the envelope, and the envelope triggers the volume of the actual output signal.
So you have, this is left and right channel at the input. This is more like maybe something you might even use for a modular synth where you have some other signal controlling the envelope besides the main guitar input or whatever. Okay, now if I double click on one of these blocks, does it show me the code? Or what is actually inside like this overdrive block here?
Each one of them represents a segment of assembly code for the chip, and then the routing is done automatically via basic, I want to say it's kind of like a compiler that he wrote. So that like all of the drag and drop lines represent like how in the assembly language you would connect the signal between different blocks.
So is there something you could click here to show me the assembled code?
Save patch as ASM. I'll just write test.
Ah, okay, so let's take a look at the code here. So this is verb. Oh, look, there's some assembly. Okay, there's the overdrive. There's the reverb. All right. There we go. Excellent.
And my next steps with this are going to be actually going in and learning the assembly, because while I do like the abstract versions that the designer created for SpinCAD, stuff like the envelope control is really not finished. Like
so you can write your own blocks?
You can write your own blocks, although I've been told the process for importing them into the program is quite extensive. You have to modify the actual compiler code for the program.
And I guess you could also use the blocks as a starting point to make some template code, basically, and then you could go in and tweak it.
Yeah.
as you want. Okay, so what are your next steps?
The Spin DSP chip has what's called a bank. So you have programs 0 through 7. You have total 8 programs. And I was planning on developing kind of like a suite of 8 patches that form a bank, uploading that onto a development board that I'm going to build, and then test that with real guitar signal. And then moving forward, I'd like to begin designing my own patch, just one patch for starters, actually in the ASM by coding it.
Okay, excellent. Very cool. Now, are there existing Spin FV-1 development boards that you could use?
Yes, so there's a company called PedalPCB that makes a ton of PCBs for like basically any pedal design you want to build out there. And they make a development board that already has, you can get it pre-soldered with the chip because it's a SMD chip, so it would be pretty tough for me to do it at the Hive at one of the bench stations. It already has all the routing done to program through USB. So it has a flash memory and a USB programmer already built into the board.
Okay, anything else you wanted to mention here?
Not much. I want to say one really awesome feature that this has is these bars at the bottom basically show you how many of the chip's resources you would be using in real time. So you can see for this patch, red means I'm basically almost at my limit of the amount of instructions that I can program on the chip.
Right, so what are the colors?
Red means, well, it's basically your traditional like green, yellow, red. Like red means bad.
Oh, okay.
Yellow means like you're in the middle, you're all right. Orange means you're getting there to be bad, and then green is good. The 3 categories they want you to worry about is instructions, because the chip can only handle so many instructions in one program. In the middle is the amount of registers you use, and then the final tab is actually the total delay RAM that you're using.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's really great feedback. So as you're dragging and dropping your little blocks here, you can see how far you're pushing your resources.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So at its base, it's doing the chorus effect, turns to 0. We'll add some delay time in.
I love it. I love it. So this is emulating a bucket brigade, that MN3011. Then you have some glitching.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's a pitch shifter with like a random LFO built in, I want to say. With the program, you can go up here and I want to say it's in patch information. Yep. You can write a little description and describe what each pot does. So that way, if I was to export the ASM and then send it to like one of y'all, if y'all wanted to work on this with me, then
So
you guys
the
can see
description
what
you
it
put here actually shows up in the assembly file for
Yes.
your documentation. So if I put text
Right
there,
here.
it will show up here.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Unnecessary zoom. Okay.